It's not a balance. There's no such thing as balance. This work-life balance is balanced up, and and you know what a teeter-totter is? If it's balanced, it's not moving. So it's a mix, it's a blending. And sometimes we do need some soft skills, or we need that pause or that slower, whatever that is.
Welcome to the Cultivating Leaders Podcast, where we get inside the minds of leaders to harvest great ideas and lessons that help you grow as a difference maker in food and agriculture. I'm your host and curiosity captain, Nicole Ursig. Chaos is the default. Clarity is the leadership choice. Today's guest is the person you call when the terrain changes and the map no longer works. Cheryl Mitchell has made it her mission to lead people out of noise and into clarity. With more than 3 decades of experience, Cheryl has crafted keynote experiences and leadership workshops that leave teams aligned, confident, and ready to act. Her framework helps leaders decipher what's essential, embrace change, and build connection across generations and functions. Cheryl, welcome to the pod.
Well, thank you. And when people read those things, I'm like, man, that sounds really good. Who is that? It's me.
It's you. Well, thank you so much for being with us. What did I miss from your bio?
Oh, that I can speak to 5-year-olds to 95-year-olds. I was an elementary school teacher for many years. I grew up on a dairy farm. So I have this ability to talk to littles, and then I can be in a room with 95-year-olds and kind of give them the what for about how they need to think differently.
Love that. Love that. So how did you end up going into this line of work?
Well, my family will tell you that I was had the gift of gab forever. When I graduated from college, I was a teacher. I went to a reading conference and I thought, I want to speak. So the next year I did kind of a session and I thought, I'm gifted to do this. But so I was a teacher. I worked in corporate training and development with a very large insurance financial company, raised kids in the middle of that. And so I did these things on the side and finally just a couple of years ago said, you know what? I'm going to do this full time. And literally, God opened the door, and I've been speaking and consulting. I wrote a book last fall. It is it's what I've meant to do, and the beauty of it is that I wasn't ready to do it then. It's all of the pieces that have added up to where I am and why I speak about what I speak about and why I have this ability to talk to 5-year-olds and 95-year-olds, which is really kind of unusual because sometimes people are scared of 5-year-olds and some are scared of 95-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what's the key, Cheryl, to being able to translate across generations and people of all ages and backgrounds that you are now able to connect dots for?
Honestly, it is slowing down my mind and listening to them without having a response ready. And I'm a fast talker, thinker, actor, mover. I mean, I am on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it has taken a lot of time and intentionality to pause my body and take a step back and be curious rather than judgmental about what they're saying because I can go there very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so the pause, because then people tell you more.
Yes.
So then you can ask the third and the fourth and the fifth question. And while they're talking, even though I'm looking at them, my brain is running 100 miles an hour and I'm hearing what they're not actually saying. So then my response is based on that, not what I think I want to say.
Yes, that totally makes sense. I think often we could all use that a little bit more of like, okay, let me pause. And even sometimes like I could be listening, but where am I going to fill the next gap in the conversation?
Correct. And I'm reading Brene Brown's new book called Strong Ground, and she talks about this and we don't know where this quote came from, but there between stimulus and response is this space,
Mm-hmm.
and we fill it instead of recognizing that space is where growth happens. And so people are uncomfortable with that, right? We move and move and move and move, and we have to fill the space. So if we just sit there, and I'm learning to get much better about that and more comfortable, and my body language then, disarms people and puts them at ease. And then I can ask another question and they're not defensive, they're leaning in.
Ooh, I like it.
I do too. It's so fascinating and fun because it's the first time I think people feel heard without me trying to sell you whatever program I have or the, and I say to people when they call me, they're like, "Well, what do you speak about or what can you?" And I said, "I don't even know what problem you're solving. So let's
Yes.
discover that
Yeah.
and then we'll craft it because I don't claim to know what you need until I actually hear what you need."
Yes, I love that. That's a great way
Yes.
to approach things. So, what do you think the biggest problem, as you work with clients across food and agriculture,
Mhm.
what do you think the biggest leadership gap or challenge that we need to fill today is?
Well, I'm going to go with translating the communication. So we say the young people are not communicating.
Mhm.
They are, unless they are mute, they don't move their body, and they are sitting very still. We're communicating. The difference is that we're not communicating like we used to. So this translation piece is okay, and I'm going to call them old and young.
Yeah.
Okay. So the older generation, it's moving so fast. And honestly, our brains are not really neurologically wired to take in the information. And so we come at it with bias and assumptions, and we this gap is it's wider and wider. And they're saying you need to come over here. Well, they don't have the skills that you do,
Yeah. Mhm.
and you forgot what it was like when you were here, and it is different. So instead of just putting a stake in the ground and saying I'm not moving, they need to, what if we both ask more questions to get curious about that? And I think in food and agriculture particularly, you have um, stubborn people who are set in their ways, and we've done it this way, and by golly, it's worked.
Yeah.
I have some farm clients I work with, and the older, he was C72, and he said, "Well, it's just always worked out." I said, "I know. It's not going to do that anymore."
Mhm.
And there's some grief in that.
Oh,
There's fear
absolutely.
in that. So some of that is just this gap of recognizing that we're all starting at a different point. I assume you start where I start. Well, I'm older than you, so I have more knowledge, experience, nicks and cuts and those things, and I have to remember not to assume.
Yes. I think it's that, like, you can't expect you from other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And we do. And we don't mean to. Our intention is not that we get up in the morning and go, well, I'm going to just be this way. We just operate from our perspective. And I think a little more, and I don't want to say all those buzzwords, grace and compassion. I just think a little more like, hold on a minute. Let's pause and say, wait a second. They may not know. They don't have that skill. Like, I would not expect a 2-year old to read War and Peace and be able to give me a synopsis.
Yeah.
But somewhat that's kind of what we're doing. And I think that gap is that what are they actually saying and what are they actually saying? And they're not that far off.
I hear you saying we're saying, or we're both like all generations are communicating, but they're speaking a different language.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And they correct. And they don't almost know that they're speaking a different language
Mhm.
until somebody says, wait a second, this is actually what they mean. Or they when I it's hilarious. When I work with speak, I have the older generation when I say they don't know that. Well, they should. I said, okay,
Well, who's going to teach them?
exactly. And I said, and by the way, look to the right and the left. We created that because it's true.
Mhm.
And the young people are like, that's right. It is your fault. Correct.
We can all take some
That's
accountability
exactly right.
for sure.
And part of it, the other thing is, I really just wish we'd all lighten up a little bit.
Mm.
My dad, I mean, he dairy farmer on bank boards and school boards, and I mean, when you worked, you worked. But how about we just come and go? How about we just have some fun and laugh and not be so like I have to. be the best leader in the room. No, really, if you just let the pressure off a little bit, that relaxes everyone.
Yeah. I think in agriculture, that's hard. I mean, when you say like people are stubborn, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm the first to admit I'm stubborn too.
Sure.
And we talk about the like, there's a reason farmers are good business people. And if something is working, like, let's not change it. But we also have to look and see around corners and know that like what has worked in the past is not always going to work in the future. And
Correct.
that's really, really challenging to think about needing to change or do things differently, especially when so much is at stake. And if you think about the legacy and the tradition that's in agriculture and the pressure to, no one wants to be the person that loses the family farm. And so when you think about the
Correct.
context of all of this, it's easy to say like, oh man, we're not good at communicating with each other, but there is a lot that all of us are trying to protect and maintain and move forward and grow together. And that's so much easier said than done.
It is. And the other part about that is typically it's families working together. So now you don't just have business relationships, you have a father and a son who are in a father son role rather than a peer business role. So the son is always being parented by the dad, right? And I've had multiple conversations with people who did not grow up on farms, and the they're stunned. They just don't understand the connection that we have. Like it's so different in this industry
Yes.
because it's not just a table and a chair. It's this is the work table from my family that's 100 years old. So there's ties there, and all of that plays into the business, right? So there's, and I work with farm families. One of the other aspects of my business is I facilitate the process for farm families for their legacy planning,
Mm-hmm.
not the transactional side. I do the emotional
Personal
side,
side.
yeah,
Yeah.
where we have to have some of that and go, okay, why are there tears? Well, because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. Okay, great. Son, did you hear that? Well, he's not going to. That's not, again, translate what you just sit with that. So, agriculture does add just some different complexities that are not in other spaces. And the pressures financially, you look at where things are right now, it's scary to people, and fear makes people do things that are not as wise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, our rational brain almost starts to take a back seat at that point, right? When
Correct.
things get scary.
And we are wired for survival.
Mhm.
So every day we wake up and our brain says, okay, I got to make sure I survive. Well, if you hear the markets, you hear the tariffs, you hear the all of these things, your brain automatically goes into how do I survive? Well, I go into what I know,
Yeah.
right? And so I protect and I'm comfortable. And, then how do you lead out of that? And sometimes farmers aren't the leaders. I mean, they're the leaders, but they don't have those same leadership traits like how do we lead somebody out of that? How do I lead somebody out of that fear and this chaos and this overwhelm and they can't get past it and the decisions and they get tighter on it? How do you do that? Okay. So then there are steps that you take to work with them to say, okay, let's think about what this is. Let's do one step at a time. Right.
Yes, yeah. So if I'm someone listening who's like, oh, maybe I work on maybe I am the next generation on a family farm, or maybe I'm someone who even works in corporate, or I'm going to say corporate agriculture, but
Hmm.
service agriculture, serving farms like this. How do you give me some tools for how I begin those conversations, or how I can lead people through that, knowing the headspace is in a space of fear and a space of survival?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I mean, as I'm sitting here and my eyes are, I'm processing. I think it's first just settling into tell me why this is important to you. Why does this matter? And then just let them answer.
Mhm.
Okay. So then that leads into now you've exposed a little bit of why they're behaving that way. Well, if you're afraid of, or I hear this a lot, my dad didn't make those decisions and I don't want to repeat that. Right. So one of those first tools is just ask some why does it matter? The heart, the connection. I kind of chuckle that I got to make the old guys cry at the kitchen table because then it's real, right? And if you are a leader in an agriculture company or something like that, it really is questioning. It's sitting down one on one and let's really define why we're upset or what scares us. What are we uncomfortable about? And I ask two questions a lot of times. Okay. What's the absolute worst that can happen here? Let's play this out to the nth degree. Okay. So you lose it. Well, what are the steps to get there? Okay. And then what's the absolute best that can happen? Okay. And you're at the T in the road from worst to best. What decisions are in front of us right now, just right now, not out there. Now we know what's out there. We don't want to lose it. That's the ultimate goal. So it is really helping them see where we're going and where we are. Okay, one step at a time. So I suddenly had this picture when I was growing up, and my dad he sent us out to the field to disc. Okay, he'd say, "I want you to go cattywampus." Okay, which
Yep.
it's an old term,
I love that term. Yes.
and he would say, you wanted the rows to be straight. And he would say, when you get to the corner, look in the corner and don't take your eyes off the corner. If you look down, you're going to drift. And if you get off one, then the next time and so a little bit, okay, it's guiding someone to not take their eyes off of this because 27 things are here that are scaring them. Wait, remember where we're going?
Yeah, the corner.
The corner, the corner. Okay, now you want to make sure you got your wheels on your hands on the wheel, and then somebody along while you're looking to go, hey, wait, there's a rock, turn left just a little bit. So I think it's another tool is just having someone who maybe doesn't have as much skin in the game walking alongside you
Yeah.
as a coach or a guide or a facilitator while you're keeping your eyes on the corner where you want to go, helping navigate the obstacles in front of you or potential could be.
What I hear you saying too, Cheryl, is that a lot of this stuff is described as soft skills, and the soft skills are actually the hardest.
Yes.
And I think they are things that it's so interesting because I see maybe in the professional agriculture world, like maybe some resistance to really using some of those soft skills, but they're also things that we're instilling in young people and FFA and 4-H and all like those youth experiences. So we have this generation that's growing up with some of these more soft skills, more emotional forward, that type of thing. And a generation that's also been taught, and I mean, like I was taught this, like, you know,
There's no crying in baseball, girl.
exactly. There's no crying in baseball. Suck it up, get the chores
That's
done.
correct.
Like, yep.
Yeah, I don't care how late you were out, my
Yeah.
gal, you are going to get up and feed those baby calves at
Yes.
5:30.
Yes. And I think there's such good things in both, and we need both of those things. But it is, as leaders or people who want to grow and who want to build a better future for agriculture, we have to find the right mix of both of those things.
I love that you said the word mix. It's not a balance. There's no such thing as balance. This work-life balance is balanced up, and and you know what a teeter-totter is? If it's balanced, it's not moving.
Yeah.
So it's a mix, it's a blending. And sometimes we do need some soft skills, or we need that pause or that slower, whatever that is. And that's where the people who are used to that, and guys in ag, we're tough. I mean,
And we're not bashing on anyone.
no, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is like I mean, I see it every day when I talk to them. You just don't like, you just get it done.
Yeah.
Agreed. But look at the toll that is taken. If you look at the mental health of our ag industry, the suicide rate, and all of those things, that should tell us that we do need a mix and that we've gone too far one side. So, so let's say the young people in they're emotionally forward, wonderful. That's good. I think it's about intentionality to say, what is the, let's identify it. Okay, when is the mix and when is it not?
Okay.
And I think I'm a huge proponent of communicating early in the expectations. So if I have young people and I'm working with them, I'm going to say, okay, this week is going to be tough. And what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to have big eyes. I'm going to have a tough voice, and we're just getting stuff done. So there's no personal in this. It is total business. So we're going to set our feelings aside. We're going to set our those things aside because this is what we're working with. Next week's not going to be that much. So if we set the expectation, like physiologically, our brain says, "Oh, okay, I know what to expect. Great, I'm not shocked."
Yes.
So that mix and that blend, absolutely, there's beauty in all of it. And the young people don't have as much of that tough get it done. And we can argue all day long why that is. That is not the point. It is what we've got.
Yes.
And how do we work with that?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's incumbent upon really good leaders to recognize all that. And I think that's one of the hardest parts of leadership is navigating that piece. It's easy to look at the numbers and say, you need to sell more, you need to go to this appointment, you need to. It's this other stuff that takes more energy.
Oh, I like that you said more energy because I think sometimes we forget that that is part of the job of leadership and that is part of the work. And it takes time and it takes space. So if I am someone who wants to be a better leader of, I'm going to say, the next generation of agriculture as a whole, but like in the workplace,
Mhm.
what are some things that I can do to make sure that I am focusing on this part of the work as well and doing it well?
As the leader,
Yes, as the leader.
first of all, my opinion, get yourself a coach. Get yourself somebody who you are working with individually on your own self.
Okay.
And uh, my, if you're not leading yourself well, I don't think you lead anybody else well. So, number one tool is spend time on yourself, identifying those places where you struggle or you find yourself pulling back and get a. I've had a coach for 14 years, best thing I've ever done because that person helps me really see reality by asking questions and so forth. Because then, and some of this isn't natural for leaders, right? We think that leadership is just being out front and talking all the time. It's not natural for leaders sometimes to just pause and sit still.
Oh, yeah, no, that is not in my DNA. I can tell you that at least from my perspective.
I learned the other day that I knew I moved fast in action and I'm impatient when I'm in the bathroom and I wash my hands and the paper towel thing doesn't come out fast enough. I'm
Mhm.
like, let's go.
Yes.
So I say this from a place where I was not doing that.
Mhm.
And now when I do that, the benefits, I almost want to say to leaders, you can't afford not to do this anymore.
Almost like that you can't afford not to slow down.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
I mean, Stephen Covey says that in his book, Sharpen the Saw. Like we go, we go, we go, we go, and you're going to burn your people out, and then you wonder why they leave. So yourself first, this awareness, recognizing where you need to leverage somebody else maybe to handle those things, identifying, and I'm a proponent of get a plan and a framework. Have that kind of mapped out and be intentional about that because it doesn't just happen. I mean, it's our habits and our consistency really does matter.
Yeah, absolutely. So, why would you recommend a coach specifically versus we're talking about self leadership? And maybe I'm sitting here listening and thinking like, I can lead myself well. I know what my goals are, or I can do that. Like, I can read some books, or I'm listening to a podcast like this. Why is a coach maybe so valuable?
Coach is more valuable than just for me
Yeah.
for than just the book and the podcast, and I'm a growth person. This person that has walked alongside me for these last years, it is 100% about me. And she has this ability to ask questions to get me to think differently than just if I read the book.
Yeah.
And there's some challenge. She never gives me advice. A coach isn't, it's not advice giving and it's not counseling. It is asking questions sometimes that I don't want to answer. Like, I don't, okay, it's great. I can read the book and I can have the points and everything. But when I actually go to apply it to my life,
Mhm.
that's different. And that for me, this person has been consistent and has watched my growth and has been able to point out some patterns that I did not see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I did not know I did that. And when I recognized that, I mean, it was kind of painful. Like, oh, okay, this is on me. This isn't on somebody else, but I'm getting the results that I've set up to get. And
Yeah.
I'm not liking the results or they're taxing me. What am I going to do differently?
Mhm. It almost sounds like having a good reflection partner too. Often we
Oh,
talk about like how important reflection is in leadership, and yeah, I could sit here and journal, but having someone to like to be a mirror for
yes,
you and to ask the questions that you said you don't like. Ah, man, I don't really know that I want to explore that, but that probably means I need
right.
to.
And many times she's helped me in some ideas that I thought that, okay, I've got this idea. Then there's like, again, questioning is big. Not the first question, but the second, the third, the fourth, the 10th that uncover what I would not get to on my own because I get distracted or the phone rings or I get a text or I'm reading another book or something. So it's this, again, 100% focused on my professional
Yeah.
development and totally unbiased. What my success is not dependent on her or, any of that. So it is this, it's reflection. It's, oh, okay. While my eyes are on the corner, I didn't see this coming in from the side, but she might ask me a question and go, oh, where could that go?
Yeah. Yeah. It also sounds like being able to go deep versus just
A
wide.
hundred
I'll
percent.
say, like, I'm guilty of, I love a good Get Better book or the next podcast, or gosh, now I'm going to listen. Got to get Brene Brown's new
You,
book or
yes, you do.
the next thing that I love to learn. And I think a lot of leaders are learners, but sometimes I think we learn it and then we check it off and then we think we need to move on versus like, okay, yeah, I understood that material or I consumed it. I consumed the content, but now, did I actually learn the lesson? Did I build the muscle that it takes to apply it?
And she's also been very helpful because I am a learner too. And I'm actually reading less books
Mm-hmm.
and I'm actually listening to less podcasts. I
Yeah.
have the ones that I listen to. And for a while I felt guilty about that. I'm like, I'm not growing. I'm how can I not, the new book, and what I realized was I was just consuming. There was no application to my life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I slowed down and actually began to intake this, and internalize it and use it, I don't need all those things all at one time.
Yeah.
So it's been longevity and it's been depth over time. It has changed me immensely.
Yeah. So, question, Cheryl, do you think you can grow alone as a leader?
Whoa. Do you think you can grow alone as a leader? Um, yes, and I think at some point you can't go much further.
Yeah, like, yeah, so you can grow on your own, but you're going to be stunted at
Yeah,
some
and
point.
and I think at some point depend depends on the kind of growth you want.
Oh, okay. Yeah, say more about that.
I mean, I grew as a leader and I thought it was great.
Mhm.
It was working for me. And then when I engaged other people, a coach, or I have about 3 people in my life that I call and go, okay, I gotta, we just talk and we're, ideas and so forth. Um, that it's the depth. Yes, you can grow as a leader, but I think your depth is limited.
Mhm.
And so the other piece of the danger I think of the alone is the older you get, the harder it is to keep your energy up yourself.
Yeah.
And I can feel myself when I don't when I because I work for myself and I'm alone, right? And I can feel when that gets dry and that gets stale or that gets stagnant and I'm like, okay, I need my people. I need that extra and then it reignites because the world is we got a lot of pressures on us and I think that's the positivity and the the catalyst that keeps you growing exponentially.
You know what I'm envisioning right now is like a visual of a plant, and you can see like the above ground versus the below ground and the root system. And anyone who's,
Yes.
taken soil science knows how important that root system is and keeping the soil healthy and all of
Yeah.
that. And it's sounding like, okay, you can go by yourself a little bit and your environment, but your
Sure.
environment matters. And so those other people are the fertilizer or, the pesticide or the thing that is actually helping you grow and build that root
Yes.
system and grow as a leader
Okay, I
in both
love that because
directions.
just as you were saying it, I was thinking about the conversations that I have with my team, and every time I leave that conversation, it is like the roots just went way down. Like I just got it just fed.
Yes.
Yes. So yes, you can grow alone. It's kind of scary in the long for longevity purposes, right? Because our life is different. I mean, I'm in my mid to late 50s, and it looks different now than when it did, and I was around other people. And I just think if you want to stay relevant, especially if you're an older leader with the young generation that's coming, I, I good leaders are looking for all of those things. And that's a tool. And you reject some of those tools, I think there's some caution there.
Yeah. So I'm going to build off of this plant metaphor a little bit that we're working
Great.
off of. In today's world, there is so much chaos around the environment that all of us are trying to grow in. What do we do to keep focused, being able to grow, being able to, I'm going to even say, perform in the way we want to in a chaotic, uncertain, I mean, in this situation, you never know what the weather is going to do. And it could be super hot one day and super cold the next. So, how do we make ourselves resilient and continuing to grow when there's chaos all around us?
Number one, I think it is your mind. The only thing I have control over every single day is my mind. That's it. I don't have control about the elevators. I don't have control about the weather. I mean, it's my mind. So owning my mind, owning my intention, coming from that first, that's the strength. Now, that comes from, I believe, getting quiet. If we are not quiet, it wins. We've given away our ownership to all the other things.
Mm,
And I am struggling with this a lot. It's
yes.
easy to jump on Instagram and scroll through, and that's funny, funny, funny. And I'm like, I just lost 20 minutes. That's silly.
Yeah.
I just gave away my mind to something else.
That makes me really rethink about my consumption of my phone.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
And it's almost scary to me. I mean, I think, why am I doing that? And then, okay, so then I think, what do I need to replace that with? Because it is an addiction, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you a quick example. So I have two kids. My oldest son just ran 100 miles in Leadville, Colorado at 100 mile. It's this
Yeah. The
Leadville
one like an
100.
ultra marathon
Yes,
kind of thing.
yes,
Amazing. Good for him.
yes. And so 712 people started, 348 finished, and he was one of them. Okay, so it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And we were all there. It was a big team. We all stayed in an Airbnb. There were like 15 of us, and I mean, it was an incredible event. And it was an out and back, like up to 13,000 feet, and okay, and it was a very noisy weekend. And I don't mean like it was there were people and there were all these events, and what was happening, I found myself getting really kind of grouchy. Now, mind you, I was around some people that were very difficult to be around.
Mhm.
Okay. And when I left there and I got on the plane to come home, I was in the very last seat of the plane by the window, and I took out my computer and and I'm going to get teary. I just started writing because what I realized is, even in the joy and the fun energy of this event, there was so much noise I couldn't process it. I wanted to, because all I kept thinking, Nicole, was I'm going to miss the beauty of what my kid just did. Like, he sat at the top of Hope Pass, because my other son told me this, on a rock and quit.
Wow.
Yeah. And I thought, but he didn't. He finished. And so I'm sitting there and I'm typing, and it ended up being a letter to him. And the the whole thing of it was, I said, when you're at the top of Hope Pass on the rock, it's you facing yourself. I don't care how many goo packets you have. I don't care how many socks. I don't care how many team members you have, how many shirts you have to change, how many red headbands, how much the 21-page packet that you for your team to lead us into this event to help you, it did not matter. So at the end of the day, Nicole, every single leader, it's us versus our mind. It's us facing ourselves.
Yeah.
And so many times we don't face ourselves and come out of that until a tragedy happens. Your child dies, you have a divorce, there's a death, there's an accident in farming, until something happens. And I said this to my son, you faced yourself at the top of a mountain running for how many hours and you won. Now, I don't know what the tipping point was that made you get up off of that rock. Maybe it was that you didn't want the helicopter to come and get you. I don't know. But to me, that's leadership because he let himself, and if his marriage gets hard, and if his job gets hard, and family gets hard, so you own your mind first. And to me, that's where this starts. Because then if you're doing that, then you can lead your team and you can pause and say, hey, hold on a minute. I know the world is spinning. We're not going to. We're not going to sit here for 6 months. We're going to sit here for 6 minutes and we're going to just breathe. And then we're going to actually see what the tragedy is or what really are we chaotic about? Probably not as bad because that anxiety and stuff is all contagious and it feeds on itself. But if you extract yourself and sit over here, just breathe, then you can come back to it, reset.
Yeah.
But for me, it's own your mind.
Yes, I think that's so much easier said than done. And I'm a
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm a runner as well, a distance runner. I have not gone even close to that far, but like I even as you're talking about the things, right? Like I've been there at like mile 10 of a marathon and like praying for the goo packet to give me another
Yes.
strength or the right song or whatever it is.
Right.
But it's right, like it's you versus you. And that's easier, so much easier said. But when you sit with it and realize how much of every day, whether it's a chaos of, picking up my phone and scrolling through TikTok or email notifications or whatever it may be, I think when you're quiet, you like that's where you find your strength and sometimes where you find your own why to like what about this
Yes.
actually matters to keep going.
Exactly. And what does matter? And we get so caught up in everything is urgent. It's not. And let's go back to that question about can leaders grow alone? Yes, but we grow better when we have someone walking alongside to say, you know what? I'm really struggling with owning my mind today. I'm really struggling with that. Okay, can I just, if I am, let me call you. Instead of picking up my phone and scrolling on TikTok, I'm going to call you, Nicole, and I'm going to say, hey, you got 4 minutes? I just want to talk through an idea or something. Because what we're doing is undoing some habits to redo better ones.
Yeah. I think this is so fascinating to think about and reflect on because there is so much of I don't like the idea of myself or my own mind being being an enemy because like then you like I think that sometimes can
Sure.
lead to like shame and self-hatred and gosh I should just do better but to fit like to just know that this is a challenge all of us are dealing with it and to face it head on versus distract from it because it's so easy to find a distraction or a numbing effect or push it down and ignore it.
Exactly. And then it builds, right? And
Yeah.
and as a dairy farmer's daughter, I have struggled my whole life with, okay, if you don't have it done by 9 a.m., you're kind of not a very good person because it should all be done. And I've had to rewire that. Like, there's no reason for me to get up at 4 a.m. I'm just not doing that. And for a long time, I felt guilty that I didn't get up when the clock said 5-ish in that hour. Well, my life is different. And and I really have gone to saying to myself, look at you, you slept till 6:30 today and the world didn't fall apart.
Yeah.
So that is just being careful that we don't turn this into an enemy and that we acknowledge the small wins. And we have to unlearn some things that were given to us just in our life. Um, and finding those, I mean, I also think moving your body, like the running part, I used to run too, and just moving that physical action conquers fear. So some of that I think that's also important. And we're very sedentary. I think there's some, that could be something the leaders do too. Stand up and do some jumping jacks. I don't know. They'd be like, "Are you crazy?" Yeah,
I'm a big take a lap
yeah,
person.
yes,
I work from home, and there are some times where I'm like, I think the most productive thing for me to do right now is to walk outside, and we've got a long driveway, and I just do.
D-
I'll go up and down the
that's right.
driveway for a couple of times before I come back.
Yes. When my kids were little, I'd be driveway. How many laps? Well, up and back till I tell you to stop. And then because it reset them, right? And we
Yeah.
need that too.
Mhm.
And our brains aren't wired for as fast as it's going. So that's the other piece to remember is we've got pressures on us that we don't even know are there, but we're trying to keep up. And sometimes you just want to go, Uncle, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like hearing too, like our brains aren't wired for this. And so it's not that we need to rewire ourselves. It's just like,
correct.
okay, I know that I am not designed to exist in this chaos of notifications all the time. So
Correct.
how do I find the peace to then tackle it the way my brain is wired to?
Yes. Yeah. And I will use Brene Brown again because reading that book, she said, pause is power.
I think we can hear it even in your voice of your tone. Like even when you're like pause and you let something sit, it has weight to it for
Mhm.
like the silence matters.
Yeah. I have a young gal I'm coaching, and she said to me, it was awesome. She said, I realized that I'm not comfortable with silence. So I just fill in. She said, I'm finding myself not doing that. I'm like, how's it feel? She said, uncomfortable, but I'm making progress because I recognized it. And even if 2 times out of 5, I just let it sit. People don't know what to do with that. It's great.
Yes. But sometimes I think too it can provide connection because if we are always trying to fill it, a pause, someone else is going to fill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking about these leaders who are, if you just really looked at someone and said, tell me how you're doing. And they're kind of like, well, you're like, really?
Yeah, I think so many of us answer the like, "How are you?" Good, good, but someone being like, "No, really,
Yeah.
how are
Like,
you doing?"
yeah. What's one word that you like? A one word check in? Overwhelmed. Okay, tell me about that. And just let them talk. And I'm not providing a solution. I'm not going to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm just acknowledging that this is a tough day. Man, this is hard.
Hmm.
Okay.
And I think too is like as leaders, especially with people that we lead or manage, doing just even that of like, okay, let's pause here for a second. I like that one word check in. If you had to describe one word where
Hmm.
you're at right now.
Yeah. I do that a lot with boards that I work to when we're doing leadership things with young professionals and even some other, well, the older people don't know what to do with that because they want to fill. And I'm like, no, one word. Can I have a phrase? One word. And they, they almost go, oh, I busy. No, you can't use those. But then I see that they're apologizing for that. Like mentally, and I'm going, hold on a minute. This is just where are you right now? Say it out loud because then your brain acknowledges it and it releases some of the pressure.
Hmm.
So that labeling your, yeah, today's hard. It's just hard.
Yeah. Like we're at this moment in time. And I think that creates some presence too, because
Yes.
at least for me, like my brain is living in, several hours from now and next week
Oh,
and also
yes.
what happened yesterday. I'm like, oh, if we were to think right here, right now.
Yes. Always looking forward. Like, and
Mhm.
I have to remember. So I've had to work very hard, and that has been a practice because I'm very much a people person. And if I'm in a big room, I've learned to not look other places. And some people are uncomfortable with that because they're kind of like, "What are you staring at me?" I'm like, I'm not. I'm being present because my brain goes in 12 different directions. So I've had to work very hard. And that has been an intentional practice, that a skill that I'm working on. And I'm getting better. And I know when I'm not, so I, kind of prepare myself to come into that situation and change it a little bit. So I'm more present for the people.
Love that. Love that. Okay, Cheryl, we are going to move into the rapid fire
Oh,
segment.
goodness.
And this
Okay.
is where you try to give short answers and I try not to ask follow up questions.
Okay, let's see how that goes.
Okay, what is one lesson you've learned about yourself through chaos?
Uh, the circumstances don't matter. It's that I have to step back and pause, and the calm comes from here. The circumstances, I just have to pull back out of it and be quiet, like the last row of the airplane, and even it can be emotion. Short answers and no follow up. Okay, this is good.
It's hard. It's hard for both of us. I
It is hard. I
promise.
know.
What is one habit you personally use when you feel overwhelmed?
I get quiet. I have habits where I just know I need silence, and then I start to reflect, and my brain opens, and it all flows.
What is one leadership phrase you wish people would retire?
Open door policy. We have an open door policy because if you have to say it, it's probably not true.
Love that take. What is the most underrated trait of a great leader?
Listening without a response in mind, like being present and actually listening and waiting to answer.
Fair. What do you wish more leaders would say out loud but often don't?
Oh, I think I wrote this down. I don't know. Um, that's it right there. I don't know, and I'm going to find out. I'll get back to you. And notice, not I don't know, but I'll find out. I don't know, and I'll find out.
Okay, what's the difference between the but and the
When
and?
you say but, it just negates everything you said.
Oh, okay.
So and is different.
Yes, I like it. If you could leave one tool, question, or I'm going to even say mental model with every ag leader you meet, what would it be and why?
And when you say ag leader, that's a different thing. Um, I really do think it is that power of pausing and stop assuming all these things. Come to the starting line with no assumptions that they know what you know.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so at AFA we love hot takes. So unconventional, bold opinions. Uh, what would be a hot take that you have, Cheryl, either about leadership or the future of agriculture?
Just because you have 27 things on your resume does not mean that you are a leader.
Oh, say more.
Do less. You can't when we're doing so many things and we're proud of that. I'm on this board and I'm on that and I do this and I do this and I do this. And I'm thinking, how many of those are you doing well? You can't. No one has the capacity to do that. So stop doing all this stuff. Really get clear about the legacy you want to leave, first of all, with yourself and your family, and make decisions accordingly. And it is okay to not do all the
You speaking right to me, Cheryl. Maybe advice I needed to hear. I'm not going
Now,
to
see, some
lie.
people don't like it. I call it directly compassionate.
I like that directly
Yeah,
compassionate.
or compassionately direct. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, we all need
yeah.
it. That's important.
I sat with some young folks last night, and one kid, he goes, "You tell us like it is. There's a corporate line, and then you're saying the things that everybody's thinking, but nobody's saying." And I'm like, but he said, "Oh, you say it nicely." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, great."
Yeah, directly compassionate.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
We need more of that. I like that. That's more fun and soft than like radical candor.
Right.
Hmm.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. Yeah.
Awesome, Cheryl. Are there any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with?
I just think that um, sometimes we use the word leadership and leaders too much. And I think there's a lot of pressure that comes from people thinking, I got to do all these things and have a title. And it's not. So start with leading yourself first. Really start here with your mind and thinking about those habits. And then beauty grows from that. And that's where you get those deep roots.
And I think that's what's going to keep you as you want to grow and all of those other
I
things.
fully agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here on the Cultivating Leaders podcast. At AFA, we're all about building bridges. So, where can our listeners connect or learn more about you?
My websites are the best place. I have a website for my speaking, which is CherylBMitchell.com, and FarmLegacyNow.com is the farm legacy side of things. That's the best place to find me. You can contact me there and see what I do. So thank you. This has been so much fun and joyful.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and all the things that you have learned with us. I know I've learned from our conversation. I'm sure our listeners have too. So I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Cultivating Leaders podcast, brought to you by Agriculture Future of America. If you've been here before, you know we value feedback as a gift. Please leave us a review and let us know how we're doing.